And this one, will have 10.10.20.4 with 255.255.255.0. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay. So let me start them up. Start up everything. I'll start up everything. And then I'll go to the switches and create each VLAN and then assign the interfaces to the VLANs. Let me put this here. This is interface 2 and 3. The other one is also interface 2 and 3. So interface 2, both interface 2s are in VLAN 10 and both interface 3s are in VLAN 20. All right, so let me start with the first one. System name is switch 1. System name is switch 1, and then I'm going to create a VLAN group, a VLAN batch 10 and 20. And then I'm going to go to interface together 002 and support link type, access, and support default VLAN 10. And then I'll go to interface gigabit Ethernet 003 and support link type is access and port default is VLAN 20. Now for interface 1, I'm going to go to interface gigabit Ethernet 001 and I'm going to support link type. What type is that one going to be? I like having people who talk, guys.
Access.
It's going to be trunk because it will carry different VLANs. Trunk, and I'm going to say port trunk. Allow pass. That's not the noise I meant.
354.
Okay, port trunk allow pass VLAN 10 and 20. Okay, I'm basically done with switch 1. Let me display port VLAN and see. So this is the list of VLANs that are there, and you can see there is VLAN 10 for port 2 and VLAN 20 for port 3. They are both access, and we have VLAN 1, 10, and 20 permitted for port. Now, please note all ports have not configured a hybrid. That's our default port type. Okay, that's all really. So I'll go to switch 2 and go to system view and set the system name to be switch 2. And I'm going to go to interface 002 of this switch and say port link type is access. And I will say port default is VLAN 10. And then I'll go, oh, sorry, what's the problem? There is no VLAN 10, VLAN batch 10 and 20. I'll go back to the interface gigabit Ethernet 002. I say port link type access, and I say port default VLAN 10. And then I'll go to interface gigabit Ethernet 002. That is now supposed to be 003. Excuse me. I'll say port link type access, and I'll say port default VLAN 20. Cool. Then I'll go to interface gigabit 001 and I'll say port link type trunk and port trunk allow pass VLAN 10 and 20. All right, display this. Put link type trunk, allow pass VLAN 10, 20. Cool. I'll quit out of that and set display port VLAN and I have VLAN 1 permits 10, 20, and 1, and then VLAN, port 2 is in VLAN 10, port that is there. Cool. Then, now I can communicate on my network. So I'm going to come here and try to ping host 2 on my switch 10.10.20. .2. Nothing, unreachable. I can't reach 20.2. Am I making a mistake? This is 20.2, I can't reach it. Have you seen that? Ping 10. Let me try pinging PC4, it is in VLAN 20.4. Unreachable, the host is unreachable. Cool, let me try pinging, why am I writing 192? 10.10.10.3, reachable. Have you seen what our VLANs are doing? They have done all that magic at layer 2, okay? And if I go to PC2, you will find that it will most likely be able to ping PC4, but can't ping any other. Ping 10.10.20.4, successful. If I try to ping 10.10.10.3, same switch, but unreachable. Have we seen that?
Yes, yes.
Now, there is no reachability in our network. The purpose of this new chapter is to look at how do we implement reachability. Maybe this is the head of finance and this is the head of technical. And then they want technical to be able to send a report or finance to be able to, whichever case, one person from management wants to talk to one person from the technical department. At once in a while, your job as a network engineer is to implement connectivity. So when we do isolation, like the case of VLANs, it is only for the greater good. But even after isolating, we need to configure connectivity. So the purpose of this new chapter is to see how do we now implement connectivity? How do different VLANs communicate, for that matter? Are we together?
Yes.
Right, so let us look at it. Let us look at it. By default, layer 2 switching network is a broadcast domain, which brings many problems. VLAN technology isolates such broadcast domains, preventing users in different VLANs from communicating with each other. That's great, that's a point. However, such users sometimes need to communicate. This chapter describes how to implement inter-VLAN communication. By the end of this, we're able to understand the methods of implementing inter-VLAN communication. And as we are going to see, we can do it using a layer 3 switch, or we can do it using a router that is connected to both VLANs via .1Q termination. All right, and then we should be able to know how to use the router, physical interfaces, or sub-interfaces, either of them, to implement inter-VLAN communication, and also how to use layer 3 switches. So that the two ways that we implement inter-VLAN communication, and how layer 3 packets are forwarded at the end of the day. For a background, for a small background, this is what we have just had. We have VLAN 10 over there and VLAN 20 over there. Now, communication within VLAN 10 is cool. Communication with VLAN 20 is very okay. The problem is, once in a while, we want someone from VLAN 10 to be able to reach someone in VLAN 20. How do we implement that? That is what we call inter-VLAN communication. Are we together? Now, to do that, there are different ways that it can be achieved, okay? But mostly, it is definitely going to be some layer 3 capable device. Now, layer 3 capable device, the main one is the router, but we also have the layer 3 switches today. And then firewalls are also capable of layer. But any device that is capable of layer 3, that is why there is etc. Inter-VLAN communication is implemented by connecting a layer 2 switch to a layer 3 interface, of a layer 3 device, which can be a layer 3 switch, which can be a router, which can be a firewall, which can be etc. The communication packets are routed by the layer 3 device. So in this example, we are assuming this is a layer 2 switch. It can't do VLAN routing. That's out. It will forward VLANs exactly the way they are. So when a packet goes to a layer 2 switch, it needs to go to a layer 3 device for change of IP addresses. It will change the IP addresses. It will do the routing at a layer 3 device, and then it will send it out of the layer 3 device. Now, please note that logically, we definitely need 2 layer 3 devices, 2 layer 3 interfaces, excuse me, 2 layer 3 interfaces. One interface will be the default gateway of that VLAN. The other interface will be the default gateway of this VLAN. Does that make sense? Because they are different networks. Are we together?
Yes.
Now, as I said, there are 2 layer 3. Of course, the number of layer 3 interfaces we need is the same number of VLANs we have. In this case, we have 2 VLANs, so we have to have 2 layer 3 interfaces. Now, those can be physical interfaces of a router. For instance, if we do this kind of connection, okay? If we do this kind of connection, we have this switch connected to VLAN 10, and that switch still connected to VLAN 20. So this switch will have VLAN 10 and 20 in it. Now we shall have 2 interfaces on this switch, both of which are access ports. That means they are going to untag the frames. Does that make sense? When this host sends a frame, it gets tagged. As it gets out of there, it gets untagged. Now it gets as a normal network.10.0 IP packet. When it reaches here, it gets routed to the .10.20 packet. It comes out because that is the destination network. When it reaches here, this interface is an access interface. It tags it with VLAN 20. When it reaches here, this interface is an access interface in VLAN 20. It untags the VLAN 20 tag. Our host receives an untagged frame in VLAN 20. On the other hand, when host in VLAN 20 sends an untagged frame, this interface is an access port with a PVID of 20, so it will tag it with VLAN 20. When it reaches here, it's an access port with PVID of 20, it will untag the VLAN tag 20 and send the normal IP packet to that default gateway that has been configured on those devices. When the default gateway gets the normal IP packet, not tagged, nothing at all, it forwards it based on the routing table, and then discovers this is the outbound interface. The packet goes normal untagged frame. When it hits this interface, because it's an access interface with PVID port VLAN ID of 10, it will tag it with VLAN 10. And then this interface is also accessed with PVID of 10, so it will untag the VLAN tag of 10, and our host receives an untagged packet. Are we together so far?
Yes.
Good. And then we proceed. So that is using the router's physical interfaces. There we have 2 physical interfaces. Now, we can also use logical interfaces that we call sub-interfaces. So with sub-interfaces, what we have is one router with one interface connecting to a switch that has several VLANs and hosts in the different VLANs. This is the physical setup. But logically, this one interface has been divided into 2 sub-interfaces. Maybe sub-interface 1.2 and 1.1. It is interface 1, okay? The interface is gigabit Ethernet 0.0.1. So out of that, we create gigabit Ethernet 0.0.1.1. And we create O.10. We like using this number after the dot to be the same with our VLAN. So if it's VLAN 10, we can do 1.10. VLAN 20, 1.20. So it is easy to identify, okay? So we do again gigabit Ethernet 0/0/1.20. Now we have 2 sub-interfaces, which are both layer 3 interfaces. And then the process will go the same way. Each of these interfaces will have an IP address, which will be the default gateway of the respective VLAN. Now, here on the switch, since this is just one interface on the switch, we need to change this to a trunk port. So it can carry VLAN 10 traffic and VLAN 20 traffic without untagging it. Now, when this VLAN 10 traffic reaches this interface, it will be received happily by the sub-interface in VLAN 10. Okay? Now, what we call the .1 queue termination is instructing this router to remove the tag of 10, okay? And send the packet to the next sub-interface. And that next sub-interface will add a tag of 20. And then the frame comes out as a tagged frame with 20, passes through the trunk port with its tag, comes here, gets untagged, and proceeds to the destination. That's what happens here. We have tried to express these two sub-interfaces as the interfaces there, but in actual sense, we are having one interface here, physical interface, that will be a trunk port permitting the VLANs we want to be routed by the router at the other end. So our traffic will go in its VLAN. Please note, with actual interfaces, physical interfaces, the traffic goes without the VLAN tags. With sub-interfaces, it goes with the VLAN tags because this is a trunker port. When they reach here, we shall run a command .1 queue termination, which instructs this router, hey, slow down. When you receive a frame in VLAN 10, please remove the tag. Remove the tag and forward it to the destination network. And then this interface also has the implementation of .1 queue termination, which tells you that hey, when you see a frame coming out, going to this network, please add this tag or that puts it in VLAN 20. So by the time it leaves the router, it enters from VLAN 10, it leaves from VLAN 20, comes here, gets trunked right up to there where the tag gets removed and it goes to the destination. Are we together so far?
Yes.
This is the sub-interface processing. Okay? This is what I've just been explaining. You go through an interface in VLAN 10, you go with the tag, the trunk port lets you go with your tag, you reach there on sub-interface, on the physical interface, you get sent to the sub-interface. Now the sub-interface is the one that untags you, and then you get back to the physical interface, to the other sub-interface, you get tagged, and then you go as a tagged frame to back to the switch, and then you proceed to the destination. Are we together? This one physical interface is the one we break into two. So please note that you enter here with your tag, it gets removed, and then you get into another network, and then you get tagged again with a new tag. You go with a new tag. Okay? You enter a different man, you come out a different man. Just like these classes. You come a different man, you get out a different man. This is an example of configuring the sub-interfaces. We have this one interface on router 1. This is gigabit Ethernet 0/0/1. And we are getting hold of this interface and saying, interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0/1.10. Then we say, please enable .1 queue termination for VLAN 10. That means it's going to be encapsulating and decapsulating VLAN 10. The sub-interface, so we give it an IP address and we enable ARPU broadcast. Are we together? That enables the sub-interface to forward broadcast packets. That is what we do by enabling ARPU broadcast. And then on the same router, we are going to create another sub-interface and also enable .1 queue termination for VLAN ID 10. This means it will add or remove that VLAN depending on the direction of the packet. And then we specify the IP address and then also allow it to forward broadcasts. Once we are done with that, everything will happen like magic. Are we together?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Now, that is using a router. that is using a router. But we can also use a layer 3 switch. We set up VLAN interfaces on a layer 3 switch. Now, VLAN interfaces are virtual VLANs that are mapped to a particular VLAN. So in this case, we have one switch that has VLAN 20 and VLAN 10 on it. Now, VLAN 10 has VLAN interface 10, which is a layer 3 virtual interface, and VLAN 20 has VLAN interface 20, which is a layer 3 virtual interface. Now, traffic from hosts in VLAN 20 will go to the default gateway of the VLAN IF20, and traffic from hosts of VLAN 10 will go to the default gateway of VLAN IF10. Now, the routing will happen at the virtual layer of the layer 3 switch. Does this make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and then of course, if it came from there, it will come back there and get untagged or tagged, depending on the requirement. This is an example for configuring. That is an example for configuring VLAN IF interfaces. And when you look at it, you realize it is so simple. Are we together? Anything that is confusing in that configuration? Everything is okay?
Yes.
Okay, great, that's great, that's great. And the forwarding process for this one, VLAN IF forwarding process, is similar to the other one. You have a host in VLAN 10, for instance, sends a frame. The frame gets tagged by that interface. It gets forwarded to the VLAN interface of that which routes it, okay? And then it gets to the VLAN IF interface here, it gets untagged from that point and it comes out. Are we together? The routing happens from there. And then it comes out from this side. So let us look at the layer 3 communication process for our VLANs. Let us look at the layer 3 communication process. This is our network. This piece is in VLAN 10. This piece is in VLAN 20. The router, the switch has VLAN interfaces. Okay? The server, I'm guessing, is in VLAN 30. Now, the switch has VLAN interfaces, and it is the one that is going to, no, actually not the server, excuse me. This guy is in VLAN 10, 20, this is in VLAN 10, and which network is in VLAN 30, we shall find out. So, this is a typical network implementation for layer 3 forwarding. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay. So I think in this case, traffic will just flow, but it will get routed from here if it needs to come this side. If it needs to go that side, still it will be forwarded, will get nutted, and it will proceed. Now this is the logical connection. Okay? You have the switch and it has different VLAN IFs there. That is its routing module. That is its layer 3 capability up there. For switching module, it is just here. Okay? So out there, it's no VLAN, so it will be untagged at the exit. That is the logical connection. Let us look at the communication process. Before sending a packet to that destination, the PC sends the packet to its gateway after determining that the destination IP address is not on its own network. We know that already. When it sends it to that destination, what it has is its MAC as the source MAC, and the MAC of that destination, sorry, this, wait a sec, that switch, this. Where are we? Destination MAC address is whose MAC address? Yes, cool. We have a VLAN if here, okay? Since it has a layer 3 address, it must have a layer 2 address. So we are sending from our MAC address to the MAC address of our default gateway, MAC 2. And then there is no VLAN tag. When that packet hits this switch, the switch will add a VLAN tag. So when the frame is getting out of that switch, it is a revived frame. It is still from MAC 1 going to MAC 2, but it has a tag of 10. The source IP is that, the destination IP is that. What happens to this switch? That switch checks its what? Sorry, it has 2 VLAN. So it looks at its routing table and sees the next hop for VLAN if 30. And then it will send the traffic to that direction where there is VLAN if 30. At that point now, the source MAC is going to be the MAC of VLAN if 30, the one facing that side. Okay?
Yes.
And the destination MAC is going to be the MAC at that interface. VLAN none, because this interface has removed the VLAN tag. Source address, same address. Source address is end-to-end, doesn't change. Destination address, same destination address that you want to go to. This router receives the packet, decapsulates it at layer 2, and looks at layer 3. Okay? Finds the destination, checks in his routing table, route processing, and forwards the frame with now different information as regards that MAC and that MAC until it reaches the destination. Are we together?
Yes.
That is inter-VLAN communication. Now we have seen we can use 2 main methods. Number 1, we can use a router. And number 2, we can use a layer 3 switch. Now, when we use a router, we can use its physical what? Interfaces. Or we can use sub what? Sub interfaces. Are we together?
Yes.
When you use a switch, then we have to use VLAN ifs. Let me see if I can increase something small on our earlier topology, and those of you who have not seen this before actually see it. You have ENSP screen now. So what I'm going to do is to add a third switch here, and yeah, third switch there. I'll just add the third switch there. Yeah. Let us assume these 2 are layer 2 switches, but this one is a layer 3 switch. So we don't need this connection. We don't need this connection here. So we are going to remove it. So now these switches just connect to the layer 3 switch, which will do the routing. Okay, they connect to a layer 3 switch, which does the routing. These interfaces are going to be trunk ports. Okay, they're going to be trunk ports. So this is the layer 3 switch. Actually, I think for ease, we can use this as a layer 3 switch, isn't it? This is VLAN 10, this is VLAN 20, right?
Yes.
Yes. So we can open up this and just configure VLAN interfaces for the first method. Configure VLAN interfaces here. So go to system and configure VLAN if 10. We give it the IP address 10.10.10.254. Now, /24. That's it. And then you shall do interface VLAN if 20. And then you shall give it IP address 10.10.20.254/24. That's all. Now what we are going to do on this computer, we are going to add a default gateway as 10.10.10.254, which is the sub interface. And on this one, we are going to add a default gateway of 10.10.20.254, which is the sub interface. And then now we must be having a routing table already in this guy here. Let's see, display IP routing table. You see, this guy is already aware of that network 10.10.10, and it learned it because it's directly attached and it's connected to interface VLAN if 10. It also knows of 10.10.20. It's a switch, but this is now its routing module. It's directly connected, and its exit interface is that, and the IP addresses are those ones. What does that mean? If now we send a packet from this host here, this is a different VLAN true, but this switch will check the routing table of its routing module and find which interface to send the packet to. So if we set ping 10.10.20.2, we shall receive replies. Have you seen that? Now, let us assume this is a layer 2 switch, okay?
Then you bring here, I will do what? No, you have to
I don't know how that becomes an answer to okay of the class. Huh? Okay. So now, in case, since this is just a layer 2 switch, it doesn't have that stuff of VLAN if, and all the nonsense. What we are going to do is to connect a layer 3 device to it. All the routing will be done by the layer 3 device. We are going to connect this port, which is going to be a trunk port, to that port on the router. Let me start up this router. The routing will be done by the router. Are we together?
Yes.
Is anyone confused so far? Please, if you are confused, it is better you mention. Okay, since everyone is okay, we are going to go to this. We are going to go to this router and just give it a system name, router. And then we shall go to interface gigabit Ethernet 000.10. Goes to that sub interface. And then we shall enable .1Q termination. Okay, sorry, and specify the VLAN. VID 10. Okay, after doing that, we are going to say, okay, your IP address is 10.10.10.254/24. Cool. And then we are going to enable this interface to forward broadcasts. Up broadcast, enable. That's done. Okay. Actually, VLAN batch 10.20. Okay. Then I'll go to interface 0.0.0.20. Cool. And then I will do .1Q. .1Q termination. VID 20. VLAN ID 20. Termination. VLAN ID 20. What am I doing? VLAN ID 20. And then I will do IP address 10.10.20.254. subnet mask 24, and I will do app broadcast enable. Once that is done, I'll say display IP interface brief. Display IP interface brief, and you can see that interface is untouched, but these ones are okay. Okay, once I do that, I'm going to come to these switches, these pieces, and give them default gateways. This one in VLAN 10 will have the default gateway 10.10.10.254, which is the sub-interface IP address. And this one in VLAN 20 will have the default gateway of 10.10.20.254, which is the interface address of the second sub-interface. Now, of course, this router has a routing table, display IP routing table, and you can see it is aware of the 10.10.10.0 network. The interface is gigabit Ethernet 0.10, and it is aware of the 10.10.20.0 network, and the interface is gigabit Ethernet 0.0.0.20. With that known, we can assume that this guy should be able to reach that other guy. But there, see, that is what we do for real physical interfaces. Now, let me once again assume this is a layer 2 switch, okay? So I'm going to get to this switch and remove an IP address from VLAN if 20, okay? And then I will undo interface VLAN 20, I delete it, okay? And then I will go to interface VLAN if 10 and undo its IP address, get out of there, and also remove the interface, get out of there. Now I have the VLAN ifs, I have the VLAN's display port VLAN. There you go, they are there. However, excuse me. However, wait. Uh-oh. Zoom. Oh, cool. Screen one. Okay. We have display IP routing table, and we have these default stuff in our switch. Of course, this is now actually a layer 3 switch, but I've removed layer 3 capabilities as far as our VLANs are concerned. So the other option we talked about is when you get this guy and put him there, and then you actually connect 2 interfaces, this and another one. Let me do 12 and that, okay? So now the same way we have used virtual interfaces, but now for physical interfaces. So these interfaces here will be access ports. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so we shall configure these 2 as access ports, and routing will be done by this guy as normal. This one is a much simpler configuration. So those are the 3 different ways, but mainly we are either using a layer 3 switch or a router. When we choose a router, we can use physical interfaces as such, or we can use some interfaces as such. That is what we have for VLAN routing. So Can you guys see that quiz?
Yes.
So, kindly someone favor us and answer for us these questions.